Hi, my name is Taylor Egan. What you're about to watch is a short video presentation based on the findings from analysis in which I undertook on the Crystal Hotel. This video has been prepared to allow the hotel's owners to better understand the financial position of the hotel. Previous to this video presentation, there was a business report which outlined the entire process of analysing the hotel's financial position. However, in this presentation, we will focus on the conclusions that arose from that report. We will look at the current revenue and expenses, identifying how the hotel can increase its net profits by decreasing the cost of sales. I will give recommendations surrounding the retention of staff and also draw on statistics and resources to strengthen my recommendations. Accounting is, after all, about analysing the numbers, but it has a purpose. Its purpose, generally speaking, is about decision making. With the information provided from this presentation, the internal management of the Crystal Hotel will be able to base those decisions off numbers and give them a chance to improve and increase the net profits. In the business report, the analysing of the Crystal Hotel's financial position was broken into 3 sections. The first section was a vertical analysis that I conducted on the hotel's income statement, also known as a profit and loss statement. The second analytical technique was a ratio analysis against the industry average, where we can see the hotel's profitability and efficiency, among other important metrics. And the third and final technique was benchmarking, which would allow owners to monitor figures and gauge a real understanding for the hotel's financial position. The vertical analysis of the income statement allows me to look at the numbers in dollar value and also in a percentage and a ratio and reference to the hotel. We can then compare these percentages against the industry average, which is what I have done for you here. It is the vertical analysis that I want to discuss most in depth in today's presentation, and you will soon understand why. We can see that the Crystal Hotel currently makes a net profit of 12.68%, giving the owners $1,309,488. However, the hotel industry average net profit sits considerably higher at 39%. So what does this mean? Put simply, it means a Crystal Hotel is performing below par in some aspects of the business and is missing out on a large amount of net profit, ultimately giving owners less money than they could potentially make. An income statement always begins with revenue. Here we can see the different avenues in which the hotel earns its money, and it is clear to see here that the functions and corporate meetings generate a much larger portion of the revenue when compared against the industry average. This is mainly due to the hotel's strong corporate relationship, which sees the hotel accommodate some companies' employees, and in return, these companies, the corporate companies, use the hotel to host function and conferences. Maintaining this relationship is a very important aspect for the hotel, as it generates good revenue. However, whilst we praise this number, we question the large discrepancy in the room revenue, which currently sits 14.58% below the industry average. However, this does not mean the hotel rooms do not generate revenue. It does, however, mean some attention needs to be given to this aspect of the revenue. Although with the functions revenue being so high, this will naturally take the percentage of the room revenue down. But let's move on to the expenses for a moment. Cost of sales is the next section analysed, and the first of the expenses. However, here we can see the expenses, but not including the personnel costs. The hotel matches up quite well here against the industry average. However, the 1.89% may seem insignificant as a percentage, but when transferred to dollars, we can see that the figure would be much more beneficial in the owner's pockets. But the evidence so far suggests the hotel is trending well against the competition, right? Wrong. It is common knowledge that the hotel is having problems retaining high-quality employees. With a 3.5-star rating, the hotel's staff would use the hotel to gain work experience before moving on to a better opportunity. This turnover requires the employment of more staff, as the employees are young and often cannot commit to full-time hours. The impact of this is shown through the personnel costs, and in particular shown through the food and beverage costs. As you can see in the income statement, food and beverage costs for the Crystal Hotel are 21.3%, a large 10.3% above the industry average. A recommendation for the hotel would be to build a full-time team in the kitchen that can continue to maintain the hotel standards, which see the hotel generating a considerable revenue from food and beverage. This recommendation is supported by an article published in 2017 that states, while hiring full-time employees may be more costly up front, it is known to lead to long-term financial rewards. The relevance of this statement to the Crystal Hotel shows the importance of retaining full-time, reliable staff in the kitchen. Financial rewards must be negotiated between management and kitchen staff. However, it is believed that this extra cost will in time reward the profitability of the hotel, eventually being reflected in both the personnel cost numbers and also in the revenue numbers. Unallocated operating costs for the hotel is currently an area that does not need a great deal of attention. It is operating slightly above the industry average. When we look at this section in the income statement, you can see the numbers are relatively symmetrical. However, there is one percentage that stood out to me. Sales and marketing. This is one of the only figures of the income statement where the hotel invests a smaller percentage than the industry average. So, it is only logical that this needs to be looked into. In today's society, marketing and social media marketing in particular has become a very important tool for any business, and it can be done without expenses. The vertical analysis gave us the information required to better understand revenue and expenses, but arguably the most alarming figure is the total cost proportions, because whilst the hotel earns $1,309,488 as a net profit for 2018, it also can be said that the hotel managed its expenses better, it would be operating at the same percentage as the industry, giving the hotel's owners would have pocketed $4,027,438. One resource I read claims comparing a ratio for one institution with those of a similar institution or national averages may suggest relative financial condition. The same ratio viewed over several accounting periods allows the manager to identify areas of improvement or deterioration, and this explains the ratio analysis. However, with some limitability in figures against the industry average, I found ratio analysis was somewhat inconclusive for what the hotel owners were hoping to achieve. The profitability numbers were good, as you can see here. We can see the hotel's numbers were consistently better than the industry average, suggesting the hotel is in a healthy and profitable position. However, this can be further improved as with improved net profit return, meaning an increase in revenue and a decrease in total cost of sales, which again draws us back to the previous section in the vertical analysis where we identified personnel costs and other expenses of the hotel being the major issue right now. Efficiency ratios, liquidity ratios, and solvency ratios were all somewhat inconclusive for the information they provided. However, it is important to state that during the liquidity ratio analysis, there was some concern surrounding the low figures, suggesting the current liabilities are larger than the current assets, which could prove to be a problem should the owners opt to invest capital into the hotel in an attempt to renovate and refurbish some facilities within the hotel. The third section of the business report and the third analytical technique is known as benchmarking. Benchmarking is a term that exists within accounting that allows for the ratios to be better understood. By comparing the hotel's ratios against benchmarks from within the relevant industry, we are able to better identify trends within the business that are occurring. The concept of benchmarking is designed to dive deeper into the numbers. In simple, benchmarking gives the numbers substance. Just as a financial number expressed as an absolute value or dollar amount is limited for decision-making purposes, a ratio is of limited usefulness unless it is compared to a relevant benchmark. Ratios are useful when the returns and the risks for the entities over time are compared with those of entities in different industries or with those entities in the same industry. 3 benchmarks were recommended in the business report. The first was RevPAR, which is highly popular in the hotel industry and is calculated as stated here. to provide a number to benchmark against the industry. The next recommendation was found on the ATO website, where you can compare prices and see figures with comparison to different states and even cities throughout Australia. This could be very handy for the costs associated with the food and beverage, both in the revenue and the expenses. The final recommendation came from a website which looked at TripAdvisor and looks at customer satisfaction. In a society which is controlled by social media, it is important the hotel owners are aware of what feedback is online for the general public to see, as public perception is so important. In conclusion, I propose the following as a recommendation for the Crystal Hotels owners. Capital investment is needed to improve the hotel's facilities. However, these facilities need to operate effectively with regards to maintenance and operation costs. The second point here is the revenue, which is strong, and in particular, the revenue generated from the strong corporate relationships that currently exist. Maintaining this relationship is paramount. And finally, the hotel's expenses need to be addressed, especially those expenses associated with the personnel costs. Thank you for your time.